Hey guys. Hello. Welcome to Grace Through Pain, a journey to hope. I am Marti Hines, and it's time to get into this, I guess. I have, first of all, shout out to my producer and editor, Natalie, because I am suffering from some really tough trigeminal neuralgia pain, and I am can't wear my headset because everything hurts. So prayers on this working out and you guys being able to hear me. So I have been avoiding this topic, or not really avoiding, but just kind of tiptoeing around this topic probably since the first episode. And that topic is fertility, motherhood. I've talked about it with different guests. It's certainly been something that, has been touched on, but I haven't talked in depth about, my personal journey and where I'm at with it. And I actually have a very dear friend that I would have loved to have had be a part of this conversation with me, but I don't think that she's in the space just yet to be talking about it. I think that the thing that we have to remember with things like chronic illnesses or fertility issues, while we're still in it, while we're still living it, it can be hard to, reflect or sit in because it's still so painful and we aren't, through it. And for chronic illnesses, you're never through it. It's forever. So I think that finding the tools to kind of cope and be able to share and discuss what it is that we're kind of going through while we're going through it is helpful, but we have to give ourselves that grace and give ourselves time until we're ready. And so episode 14, and I'm finally ready to kind of talk about it. So I guess my fertility journey began right around my 36th birthday. So I had been diagnosed for about a year, and I was like, okay, with all this that's going on, let me do an egg retrieval. Let me freeze some eggs. Just as kind of like a safety net. It had been something I had wanted to do. For those of you that are in your early 30s, the sooner the better. Do it when your eggs are the healthiest. Do it when it's something you're just like not even thinking about, because then it's done and you did it. And I just really want to impress upon you, if you think you might want to have children of your own, even if you think the answer is no, but your mind can change. I have so many friends now who at 30 said they didn't want kids, and now here we are in our 40s and they do want kids. So it's just like, if you have the opportunity, try to find the opportunity, do an egg retrieval. Do the egg retrieval. I can't stress that enough. Please just take the time and do it. So like I said, I did an egg retrieval. It was tough. I didn't have strong eggs. I didn't have many eggs. It was really hard. It was a lot of cycles before I could even get to an egg retrieval. And then it was seeing if they were viable. And it was so hard on my body, on the MS kind of side of things. It was just really hard. And I was only able to get 3 good eggs, good quote unquote, viable eggs. That was it. After everything I put my body through, I wound up with 3. And I know that the saying in, this space is, all you need is 1. And that's true. But when you're dealing with IVF and fertility, more is better. The chances are just better when you have more to work with. But I was still super grateful, especially because of how many rounds I had done. I was just really grateful that I did have 3. I probably a year after that decided to start really family planning. I was in a relationship that I was hopeful was going to be, you know, a life partner. And we had talked a lot about fertility and family planning, and had kind of begun the process of, you know, IVF. And that relationship didn't work out. It really, really broke my heart. It was a bad ending. It was traumatic. And I just wasn't really sure what my next kind of step could be. And after some time and after some healing, I decided to get a sperm donor, which was crazy because I never thought that was going to be something I was going to have to do. It was interesting going through photos of men and reading their bios, listening to their voices, reading, you know, their history. It was just very surreal. Just at the idea that was how I was going to be having a child or creating a child would be with someone's sperm that I was going to purchase. But once I kind of got over the internal awkwardness of that, I really got into it. I mean, I was sharing with friends, getting opinions, talking about, you know, if it would be a biracial child, because, you know, something else that I uncovered is that African American men don't really donate their sperm. It's really hard to find Black sperm. I think just culturally, it's just not something that, you know, we do as a community at large. And so it was slim pickings. And I was at a very reputable, very expensive sperm bank that was globally known, that, you know, for having good inventory, for lack of a better word. And it was hard. I wound up finding a sperm donor that was from Vietnam that I was really drawn to. I just really loved his story. I loved his family's anecdotes. I loved his voice. I kind of was imagining, you know, having a biracial child, and was pretty locked into that. It was almost a go, and I had decided to kind of sit on it for a bit and, you know, kind of come back to the decision. And the following week, when I logged back in, was like, okay, let me just take like another look and see, you know, what's out there, if any new sperm has been uploaded. And there was a young man, an African-American young man, that caught my eye. He is from the UK. I was just very drawn again to his story and his eyes and his smile. And I felt like I could see, you know, going half on a baby, literally, with this particular sperm donor. I could see it. I felt it. I wanted to have a Black child, 100% Black child. That's what I desired, but it wasn't something that, you know, was a deal breaker. But it is something that I had hoped for, and so it all kind of came together. And so I pulled out the card and purchased his sperm. I purchased all of his sperm so that if I wanted to have another child, I would be able to have siblings with his sperm. So I went all in, which is typical for my personality. You know, when I decide to do something, I'm sure you guys have gathered by this point, I go all in. So I did it. I have a sperm donor. I have sperm. It's on ice. And I pay quarterly to keep it on ice. And then the next step was, you know, IVF, you know, actually trying to make some embryos. And it was tough because my doctor really wanted me to try to do another retrieval. You know, again, as I mentioned before, the more eggs, the better. And so she was just like, let's just try to get some more eggs. Let's just try to see. And they like to say that your womb, your uterus is quiet when there isn't things kind of like happening down there. And so it was very quiet in my uterus. And with all of the drugs, I just wasn't creating any eggs. And I think we tried for about 2 months, 2 or 3 months, going back and forth to the doctor every 4 or 5 days for ultrasounds and shots and pills. And there was this window, the DMT that I take, Ocrevus, you only have about 3 months of a window of time to do anything fertility IVF related before you have to go back on your DMT, because you cannot be trying to get pregnant while you're on Ocrevus. And that was at the time. I think that there's some research that's saying that that might not be the case anymore, but that's not official. Feel free to message me if you know more. I'll happily share an update if those facts, are different. But the clock was ticking. I had to go back on Ocrevus. I couldn't continue. And so I had to pause. And it was really disappointing because, you just feel like once again, your body is letting you down. Your body isn't showing up for you. It's not doing, what you want it to do, and you're doing all of the things that you're supposed to be doing, and it's still not showing up for you. And to have it happen again is just like another layer and level of heartbreak and disappointment. And the thing is, when you pause, when you decide to stop doing something or come back to something, there's no guarantee that it'll still be there, that chance will still be there. And unfortunately for me, my MS started to take a turn and decline. And I went from really being at peace and committed and invested in being a single mom and feeling like I had the support and I had the village, and that I had the inner strength to be able to be a single parent, to ultimately changing my mind. And when it became time for me to be able to start up again on my pregnancy journey, I decided not to. I decided that I wanted for everything to be kept on ice and to wait. And it was really hard because I feel like, especially because I live so much of my life publicly, and I bring you guys on this journey with me, and I share so much, in real time, which I love to do. I get so much from it. It's so cathartic for me. But at the same time, when you open up your life to strangers, they ask a lot of questions. They feel that they have a right to know. And it's like, well, you were taking us on this fertility journey. All of your posts, your YouTube episodes, were taking us every step of the way. And then, we've just heard nothing. And, well, what are you doing? What's the next step? What is the next thing? And I was embarrassed. I was mourning. I was grieving. And then to have to answer questions, on a public platform was even harder, because And I want to pause, because by no means is my decision or my choice what the answer should be or what the choice should be. It's up to all of us to make our own individual decisions about how we want to live our lives with this disease and what it looks like. For me, though, this time MS won. I'm a big sayer, big proponent of, you are not your MS, and you can beat your MS, and you are in control, and you set the rules. But in this case, I guess I have to say that I gave in to MS. I do not feel comfortable bringing a child into this world with where my illness is at alone. I feel like I would need to have a partner. I would need for that child to have a father that is active in their life to pick up what I might not be able to carry all of the time. And as much as I know I have a village, as much as I know that I have support in family and in friends that would love on that child unconditionally, for me, it's not the same. I want that child to have two parents. I don't think, babies, they don't have a choice. They don't ask to be here. We bring them into this world. And if I'm being honest, 9 times out of 10, we fuck them up. Unknowingly, knowingly, unintentionally. And I just feel like if I were to have a child now as a single parent, as a single mother, I feel like it would be very selfish, and that it would be for me, and not really thinking about them and their life and their pain and what they'd have to witness as I witness myself declining. It just started to feel very selfish for me. And once I started to feel that way, I couldn't shake it. I couldn't let it go. And I decided to pump the brakes. There isn't a day that I don't think about having a child of my own or desiring that. I've seen so many people in my life that I never thought I'd see pregnant or with kids. And as the clock ticks, as the years go by, that ratio, that count, it just keeps shifting to where the number of us without children just gets smaller and smaller. And you want to be there for your friends. You're happy for them when they share the news that they're having another child or their first child. It is joy that you have for them, but there's so much sadness and heartbreak attached to it, because it just feels like another thing that MS has taken from me. Because if I didn't have MS, I would happily be a single mom. It's something that I know I could do emotionally, financially. I would have done it by now. I'd have a child by now if it wasn't for MS, one way or the other, whether that was through IVF, surrogacy, adoption. I would have a child. MS is the reason that I don't. And I don't know that I'm going to find that life partner that would make me feel comfortable enough to bring a child into this world. And that's scary too. We talked about it in earlier episodes on, dating at 40 and dating with MS and what that looks like. And I'm no further along in that. I haven't figured that out any better than when we talked about it however many episodes ago. And it's just another thing that's just out of my control. And I just want you all to know that changing your mind is okay. I can change my mind again 5 times over. I hope that I will change my mind. I hope that my circumstances will change, whether it's my health, whether it's my finances, whether it's my love life, all of those things. I'm hopeful that something will change in some way, that I will feel less selfish and more comfortable going back down this road of having a family of my own. And I just want to leave you with that grace that you can change your mind, and that wherever you're at right now with any decision that you're making, but especially in the fertility space, it is your decision alone. It is your journey alone, and it is for you to decide. It's for you to make no apologies about whatever your decision is. By no means are my choices and my opinion a judgment or an opinion on anyone else. It's just how I feel with where everything is at in my life. And I just really want to make sure that no one feels any judgment from me. I'm hopeful that what is taken away is, as I said before and always on this podcast, is giving yourself grace, because I've had to give myself a lot of grace with this. I have a lot of shame. I have so much embarrassment. I feel like such a failure. Like such a failure that this is something that I've decided I can't do right now. I don't usually quit. I don't give up. That's not a part of my personality. And making the decision to not continue on my fertility journey my heart is so heavy, and it breaks every day. So I just want to make sure that as much as I'm telling you to give yourself grace and show yourself grace, to please give grace to others, especially on this topic, because this internal battle that women struggling with fertility issues go through is such a quiet, isolating, lonely, stigmatized battle. And I just want anyone that's listening to know that if you are going through this, believe me, I see you, I hear you. I don't talk about it much because it hurts so much. but I'm always here. And you can message me anytime. Until next time, guys, let's remember to show ourselves some grace. I'll talk to you soon.